Hey everyone, welcome. Dr. Jeremy here. I'm so glad you're here. We've got a lot to cover tonight, but before we dive in, let's take an inventory. I'm going to get you engaged right off the bat. I want to know, how many hours of sleep did you get last night? And be honest with yourself. It's not just I went to bed at 11:30 and woke up at 6, so 6.5 hours. Like, how much of that was actual sleep? Was it interrupted? Did you toss and turn for an hour? Was your mind unable to shut off? And when we do this with live patients, we'd usually see a lot of fours, fives, sixes. How many hours, right? Some of you might be even saying, "What's sleep?" And I get it. I really do. Okay, got your answer? Okay, here's another question. What about energy levels? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being full energy and 1 being coffee and Red Bull, don't even leave a dent anymore. Where are you most days? Okay, now one more question before we start, and this is important. Have you been to conventional or holistic doctors and had blood work done and then been told it's your thyroid or adrenals or something else? Or even worse, told that everything is normal? And after all that, have you tried a medication, supplementation, diet changes, detoxes, and the whole works? Now, here's the thing no one else will likely tell you. Just like it's not normal for our kids to be sick all the time, it's not normal for us as adults to be tired, exhausted, stressed, and anxious all the time. You do not have to accept that path as a parent. And digging in even deeper, we also don't need to rely on a mix of medications, supplements, and Starbucks runs to get by each day. There's another way to reset, recalibrate, and re energize, and we're going to break it down in full in this webinar. Today, we're going to be covering how sleep, gut health, inflammation, hormones, physical health, and our mental emotional well being, they're all tied together, and how taking care of the one system that controls and coordinates the health of all those systems is really the magic unlock to getting your life back. Now, I know life is busy, and I know you've got kids who might interrupt any second, but here's a good reason to stick with me until the end. At the very end of this presentation, I'm going to give you something you can only get if you watch this webinar, a special offer to schedule a heavily discounted consultation that includes the exact health assessment I'm going to show you today. So turn off your notifications, grab your drink of choice, and let's figure out what's really going on with your health. Unfortunately, most parents wake up each morning, and as the day or week goes on, they could check most or all of these boxes. Number one, poor sleep, gut and digestive issues, anxiety, brain fog, or the last one, the inflammation and the autoimmune challenges. What's really awesome is that now today, parents have access to more information and helpful interventions than ever before. But that can also be confusing and chaotic and overwhelming to the point of paralysis by analysis. Because now it seems like we should be doing absolutely everything. And we're doing none of it or a little of it, or maybe we're even doing all of it. And we don't know where to start, or we don't know where to turn, and we don't know how to help ourselves. So think about if you tried any or all of these things that we have listed here, the vitamins and the supplements. Maybe you've done hormone therapy, the patches, the formulations, or injections. You've probably tried a diet change or two in the past, maybe keto, maybe paleo, maybe carnivore, or maybe even gave a detox or gave fasting a try. Or took a red light panel and it blasted it to your skin, hoping that the mitochondria wake up a little faster and give you more energy, right? There's a lot of good things that we can be doing or have done for our health. And some days are slightly better, but you're still feeling like you're operating at 60% capacity. On your good days, you're functional. On your bad days, you're barely holding it together. And you're not alone. 76.4% of adults report chronic health conditions. Let that sink in. 3 out of 4 adults are dealing with ongoing health issues: anxiety, depression, exhaustion, autoimmune disorders, adult ADHD. And then we jump into our healthcare system, and there's this gap. There's a conflict of information. Conventional MDs don't attempt to find the root cause, they blame genetics and prescribe medications. If we're all that we're looking at is pain and problems, we've missed the point. What caused those things to happen in the first place? Look, medicine has its place. It's really good at putting out fires and saving people's lives. But when it comes to building health and strength within our bodies, we can't keep spraying the house when the fire is out. We need to rebuild it. We need to build health, not just suppress symptoms. For example, if we blame anxiety and depression on an imbalance of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, but don't pay attention to the neuro component of that, we're missing a major important piece of the puzzle. Why are those transmitters imbalanced in the first place? And then we have certain specialists and providers. They're all in these silos and they don't communicate with each other. Some integrative providers, they'll look into good things like vitamin B12, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, and so forth, but they can't quite tie together why they've tanked and why the nervous system continues to drain its resources of them all. Blood work looks at chemistry, but not neurology. And while functional med labs dive way deeper than conventional testing, they still only measure physiology, which is controlled and coordinated by neurology. So the take home point is that we can't simply blame genetics or poor gut health for the full root cause of why we feel so awful all the time. So, what's the true root cause and deepest layer of all of this? Because we're barking up the right tree when we look at stress and how it affects our body. But if we don't address what that stress has done to the body and it caused it to stay stuck in that stress state, we're not getting to the full root of the problem. We're not getting to the full root cause. Because stress is the initial trigger. We talk about it. There's three initial forms of it as we go through life. We're exposed to physical stressors, right? And it doesn't have to be an injury or a car accident, which then causes subluxation. This is something we'll be talking about a lot today to come into play. The physical stress could be stuck at a desk, stuck in a carpool lane, stuck on a plane, and much more, right? The chemical stress, it's everywhere. And yes, it's important to clean up our toxins, to eat better, to have clean air, to not live in a mold driven environment. But that's only one of these three stressors. It's the emotional burden and stress and busyness that buries us. And what it does is it shifts the majority of us into this subluxated state. Now, subluxation is anatomical, it is a neurophysiological process as well. Subluxation occurs when the nervous system gets stuck or shifted into this side of the graph, into this fight or flight gas pedal. Now, this is one side of the nervous system. It's really good when we want to amp up the intensity, when we want to get a workout in, or if there's a deer that jumps out in front of the road in front of us, or you need to get up, like the fire alarm goes off, we need to get up. It happens instantaneously. It's reactive, it's protective. But when the workout ends, when the deer scampers off into the woods after we slammed on the brakes, when the fire alarm stops screaming, the threat is resolved and your nervous system is supposed to shift right back into that brake pedal parasympathetic mode. But most of us walk around all day entirely stuck and shifted in that protective state called sympathetic dominance. We're on the gas all the time and it's too much because then it causes our body to operate in a way where our gut and digestion shuts down. The immune system is constantly pumping out inflammation. There's hypersensitivity. There's cytokine storm, mast cell activation, you name it. The detoxification system shuts down. The elimination system shuts down. Inflammation lit up. Endocrine system turned upside down. This is sympathetic dominance and has these downstream effects that show up with our physiology, with our quality of life, and with our health. And a big reason for that has to do with what's not happening when it comes to the brake pedal. When you're stuck on the gas pedal, the real issue is that you don't have enough responsiveness of your brake pedal. Because the way God designed it, the parasympathetic vagus nerve, brake pedal side of your nervous system, is that it's responsible for, get this, rest, relax, regulate, digest, keep our hormones in check, keep inflammation in check. And the parasympathetic system is also where our social, emotional, behavioral, and cognitive capacity opens up and stays calm and it stays regulated and stays clear. When we're stuck on the gas pedal, we're anxious, angry, agitated, and we can't make good decisions because we can't think clearly because we only think emotionally in that heightened state. And so the way we get the gas pedal and get rid of all the downstream effects of staying in that stucked state is we get the other side, the brake pedal, activated, stimulated, regulated, and repaired. And that's what's different about working on the nervous system versus working on the systems that it controls and coordinates. Because the gut does what the nervous system tells it to do. The immune system does what the nervous system tells it to do. The endocrine system, the muscular system, the social emotional system, our sleep, energy, the list goes on and on. It all does what the autonomic nervous system tells it to do. And this is where we slide into the big idea I want you to away with today, which you've probably already picked up on. It's this: your nervous system is the foundation of your health. And when it's stuck in survival mode, no amount of diet changes, supplements, or self care routines will fix how you feel, because your nervous system isn't just about feeling stressed or anxious. It's the control system that coordinates every single cell, organ, and tissue in your body. It tells it what to do. It's the air traffic control for your body. When air traffic control is functioning properly, planes take off and land smoothly. Everything runs efficiently. But when air traffic control is overloaded or malfunctioning, everything backs up. Flights get delayed. Things that should work perfectly start breaking down. And that's what's happening in your body right now. And so that's what we need to target to get you back to a better place of health. Because the truth is, it's not just stress. There's so much more to the story, to the science, and to absolutely transforming your quality of life than just avoiding stress. Because let's be honest, the stress isn't going away, right? You're still a parent. Kids still have needs. Schedules are busy. Life goes on, and the faucet of stress doesn't really change. And as much as I would hope and pray and plan that you would have less of it or no stress at all, the exposure to stress is going to happen on a pretty consistent level for us. So if that doesn't go away, the only other play is, how do we handle it? How do we deal with it? And if our nervous system is stuck in that sympathetic dominance, it's causing, one, a downstream effect of problems with our physiology, symptomatology, and our well being. And two, it leaves us more susceptible to stress. Because when you're stuck in that sympathetic dominance, nerves that fire together wire together, and you move further into the dysregulation. And so the gas pedal gets even more fired up, and the brake pedal gets even more shut down. And so, this quick little image right here of this scan that we'll dive into deeper towards the end of this presentation is saying, this is how we find it. So the key is that these two systems are supposed to work together. The gas pedal when you need it, and the brake pedal when you don't. Back and forth, up and down. That's balance, that's regulation. But here's what's likely happened to you as a parent. Modern parenting has created what we call the perfect storm for your nervous system. And when we talk about the perfect storm concept, we often talk about it in the concept of kids and how early life stressors stack together and influence the nervous system as it grows and develops. And these stressors lead to the challenges that kids face today. And some of you have probably gone through the perfect storm as kids, but then another perfect storm comes along when you become a parent. And it probably honestly started before your kids were even born. Many of you experience fertility challenges. Many have had high stress pregnancies. Maybe you had complications, a traumatic birth, interventions you didn't plan for. Your nervous system went through massive physical and emotional stress. And then the real work began, right? Those early months and years of parenting involve not just one bad night, but likely months or years of interrupted sleep. Maybe a bit of hover parenting, like where you got to be especially sure, especially like with the first one, making sure they're always safe, they're not in danger, they won't fall, they won't get hurt. And the physical demands as well to how we care for kids, carrying kids, nursing, bending over cribs, chasing the toddlers, getting down on the floor. Your nervous system never got the chance to fully recover because the demands kept coming. Then add everything else: work stress, or the stress of not working and the financial pressure that it creates, managing a household, relationship strain with your partner, more financial pressure, because let's be honest, kids are expensive and the economy is not helping. And sometimes you're even caring for aging parents on top of everything else. Your nervous system has been operating in survival mode for years. And here's the thing, your nervous system doesn't distinguish between life threatening danger and chronic daily stress. To your sympathetic nervous system, that gas pedal, a toddler tantrum in Target triggers the same response as being chased by a bear. Gas pedal, gas pedal, gas pedal. When does the brake pedal get to work? When do you get to rest, digest, and recover? Maybe for a few minutes at night after the kids are asleep. But by then, you're so wired that you can't actually relax. You scroll on your phone, you watch TV just to decompress. And this is what it creates dysregulation and something called dysautonomia. It is the actual, accurate root cause term to describe why so many of you are struggling. When your nervous system gets stuck in this imbalanced state, gas pedal always pressed, brake pedal barely functioning, it's called nervous system dysregulation and dysautonomia. This is the hidden in plain sight foundational root cause that doesn't show up on blood work and labs. But this dysregulation shows up as you being wound up and worn out at the same time. Your body's burning through resources in survival mode, so you're exhausted. But your nervous system can't downshift, so you can't actually rest. Your body's screaming for rest, but your nervous system won't let you shift into that relaxed state needed for deeper restorative sleep. So you're exhausted, but you can't sleep, which only compounds that anxiousness you're feeling and the inability to focus because your mind is racing with worry, but you can't concentrate what's actually in front of you because your nervous system is scanning for threats. And then your digestive and immune systems are a mess. When your body thinks it's running from danger, it shuts down non essential functions like proper digestion and immune function. So now you're dealing with indigestion and bloating and gas and constipation and a suppressed immune system. Autoimmune sets up. For some people, it's Lyme's, others, it's Hashimoto's, Crohn's, IBS. You get stuck and left sick and congested all the time. And it doesn't end there. Your emotions are dysregulated and all over the place. You have a shorter fuse because your nervous system has no slack left. So you feel like you're constantly fighting with your spouse and yelling at your kids, and you can't balance your hormones no matter what you try. And so stress disrupts everything from thyroid to cortisol to sex hormones, and all the supplements, herbs, peptides, and injections aren't getting things back in line because the real issue isn't being addressed. So, what's actually causing this nervous system dysfunction? The underlying cause is something called subluxation. Subluxation, at its basic form, is neurological interference. It's stuck stress patterns that disrupt communication between your brain and your body. It's tension and dysfunction in your nervous system that reduces your ability to adapt and keeps you in that stuck chronic state of stress. When subluxation occurs, your entire nervous system shifts into a sustained sympathetic overdrive, the gas pedal, and your vagus nerve and your parasympathetic brake pedal get suppressed and shut down. Your nervous system starts to get used to nonstop tension, exhaustion, and illness. It sometimes even becomes numb to it. So then your ability to regulate, to adapt, and to respond to stress effectively becomes compromised. And here's the critical point. And this is why you can eat all the right foods and take all the right supplements and buy an infrared sauna, do all the yoga, and still feel terrible because the master control system coordinating everything is interfered with and not working properly. It's like this image here. You're trying to remodel a house that's built on a cracked foundation. You can paint the walls. Let's go back to that. You can buy new furniture and you can update the kitchen. But until you fix this foundation, nothing is going to work right. Your nervous system is this foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. So the key takeaway from secret number one is that it isn't just stress, right? It's nervous system dysfunction, specifically that dysautonomia caused by subluxation that keeps you stuck in survival mode. This is a real measurable problem, and it explains why your doctor's normal test results don't match how you actually feel. And that leads us to the second nervous system truth. You don't need more medications or supplements. And let's be honest, there's been a really awesome shift. More families today are choosing to use medication as more of a last resort. They're asking better questions. They're looking for answers beyond, hey, this is just your new normal. And that's something to celebrate, right? But here's the hard part. Even when you work with a conventional doctor, even when you invest in functional provider and run all the labs, even when your blood work looks normal, it can still feel impossible to find the real root cause of what's going on because nervous system dysregulation doesn't always show up on a lab report. It goes deeper than chemistry, deeper than hormones, deeper than physiology. When the nervous system has been stuck in stress, survival, or overwhelm for months or years, the body adapts, it compensates. It speaks in subtle ways that don't always translate to numbers on a lab report page. That's why so many families tell us, I was doing all the right things, but I still don't feel like myself. And it's often the missing piece. Not because other providers are wrong, but because the nervous system is the foundation that we need to start with to build on from there. It all starts with neurology. Neurotransmitters and hormones do exactly what they sound like they do. They transmit messages and signals for the neurosystem, the nervous system. That means the core dysfunction is within the parts of the body that actually house and protect the nervous system, the nerves and muscles that make up the neurospinal system. And when we have subluxation and dysregulation and dysautonomia set up shop within this neurospinal system, the true foundational root cause imbalance is going to reside there. And then when that core system gets out of balance, first, then chemistry and physiology that shows up on labs follow. As one of these doctors, Dr. Bruce Lipton, said so eloquently, the function of the nervous system is to perceive. What does the nervous system do? It perceives its environment and then it coordinates the function of all other cells. It's the reason why your blood work showed up like that in the first place. Your nervous system is the coordinator, the air traffic controller, it's the foundation. And almost nobody is checking how well it's functioning. Because here's the contrast traditional medicine, they want to give you a condition and give you a medication. And functional medicine is awesome, so valuable, so much better than conventional medicine, but not cheap and not nervous system. And then you have what we do, which is go deeper and assess the nervous system. So thankfully, it's not no one who's checking the nervous system. This is what we do. This is how we operate. These scans, what about to go through, is how we assess the nervous system from three different angles. And they all work together to give us a complete picture of what's going on in the nervous system. We can measure stress, dysfunction, and dysregulation. By reading and interpreting these scans, we can actually see why you're struggling with the gas pain and the constipation. We can see why the anxiety is showing up, the headaches and immune challenges. Why are they present? Because we're measuring that foundational system. So, this first scan is the neurothermal scan. This scan reveals how subluxation and stress affect your autonomic functions, your digestive system, your immune function, your hormones, your sleep, all the other things. It's looking at the autonomic nervous system's control over temperature and blood flow. And it often helps us explain why you have chronic digestive issues despite trying every diet, and why you have hormonal imbalances that even functional medicine can't explain. It also tells us why you can't fall asleep when you're exhausted. It gives us a clue. It shows us what's going on in the nervous system. Then we take the second scan. The second scan is the neurospinal EMG scan. Now, this scan gives us specific information of measuring patterns of neuromuscular tension, asymmetry, or imbalance and exhaustion within the system as a whole. Some parents, they're wound up, and others are worn out, and most are both. The big picture of this scan is it's showing how the nervous system is distributing energy, as well as what is the nervous system continuing to perceive from the body. What is the body telling the brain? Is the body communicating stress, or is it communicating ease? Is it keeping the system stuck in a cycle? And so we can measure multiple angles from this scan. We can measure the total energy score. Like, is there a lot of energy on the system, or is this system exhausted? We can measure the pattern score. Do we have good coordination? Do we have good input into the nervous system that then influences how our nervous system perceives its environment and then coordinates a response to it? Not just the coordination of like balance, but the coordination of an immune response, of emotional regulation, of hormonal fluctuation. You get the idea. The input, if we get bombarded with a stress input, if we keep the system in a state where it's responding in a stress state, in a stressed mode, which then over time causes our system to be stressed out, dysregulated, and done, it wants to give up. It's got no fight left in it because it continues to perceive stress. And then it goes into stress mode and then it stays stuck there, which then causes the system to spiral downward. And that leads us to the third scan, heart rate variability, or sometimes called HRV. This might be the most important scan for parents because it shows whether you have any reserve capacity or like battery power left in the tank. Most parents' HRV scans show a concerning pattern, one where they're either too much in sympathetic dominance, where we have the ability to balance things out, or they have this lower score and they have signs of neurological exhaustion and depletion. And so, with this data, what these scans help us to do is these three things. The first is simple. Are you subluxated and dysregulated? Can we actually help you? And if yes, how bad is it? And this is essential in helping us to give you a fully customized care plan. Essentially, it tells us like, hey, how many numbers of visits, how long is it going to take to help you achieve your health goals? And thirdly, if yes, your system's subluxated, if there is this dysregulation setting up shop in your body, where are the primary or major subluxations? And this is huge in helping us locate and target the most precise and impactful, helpful adjustments and proper techniques that then give you the best results. It's a less is more approach. This is more for us in understanding and helping your progress as you go along in care and get closer to this third goal of feeling like yourself again. Because we got to break this belief, this BS belief that parents are supposed to be always wound up and worn out. There's a false belief that we need to break, and it's this: that you're stuck feeling this way forever, that this is just your life now, that you just need to accept feeling at 50% capacity and just, push through it. Or worse, that if you want to feel better, you have to add all of these things to your plate: more self care routines, more supplements, more therapy, more medication, more everything. You don't need more. You need something different. You need to address the root cause, the foundation, the nervous system dysfunction that's creating all these problems in the first place. And then go from there, build from there. If we go back to the house analogy, you wouldn't buy or remodel a house that you knew had a cracked foundation. You can paint the walls, add in the supplements. You can buy new furniture, the diet changes. You can update the kitchen with therapy, yoga, and meditation. But if until you fix the foundation, nothing is going to work right. The doors won't close properly, cracks will keep appearing, things will keep breaking because the nervous system is that foundation. And here's the beautiful thing: your nervous system has an incredible capacity to heal and rebalance when given the right support. Not more support, the right support. And this is where other awesome supportive interventions may fall short. Supplements can help provide nutrients for your body, what your body needs. But a supplement, it's in the name, it's helping the body do what it can't do on its own. It's a supplement. What if we help the body be able to do better on its own? And then we wouldn't need so much of a supplement because the body is better able to absorb and assimilate and use the nutrients it gets from its diet. And the other thing is, supplements don't release subluxation, they're working downstream from the problem. Diet changes, they're downstream. Therapy, it's valuable, still downstream. And medications, just turn down the alarm bell when the fire is happening elsewhere. Again, none of these things are bad, these are good things, but they don't address the deep down real root cause. And that's where neurologically focused chiropractic care comes in. Now, if you're thinking about chiropractic as just back cracking or pain relief, I need you to understand this is completely different. Neurologically focused chiropractic care specifically addresses nervous system function. We measure it, we track it using the insight scans that we talked about. We identify exactly where subluxation is creating that interference. And then we implement precise, focused, gentle, and intentional adjustments that release stuck sympathetic stress and restore, stimulate, and repair the parasympathetic system and vagus nerve. So here's how it works. An initial consultation, we're going to find out what's really holding you back from your highest quality of life. Then we're going to do the insight scans. We're going to get the objective measurements of your nervous system function. We got to see exactly where you're stuck. If you're in that sympathetic dominance and where the brake pedal is. Is it shut down? Is it turned off? We measure your stress patterns, your tension patterns, your adaptability, and score everything through those neurometrics and core scores. And then from there, we're going to make a personalized care plan based on your case history, based on your scans, and it's going to be tailored specifically to you. Your nervous system dysfunction is unique to you, and your care needs to be unique to you as well in order to address these specific patterns. And then we're going to start. We're going to start with the precise neurotonal adjustments. The adjustments are very specific, targeting the areas of primary subluxation and dysfunction so as not to overwhelm an already overwhelmed nervous system. Again, we're not going to do everything we know how to do. We're going to do just enough to get your system to a place where it's perceiving safety and ease. And we're going to do it more often so that your body is able to go through this healing process much quicker. And as your care progresses and those patterns of subluxation and nervous system dysregulation begin to unwind, something really amazing starts to happen. Your body doesn't have to fight so hard anymore. The sympathetic gas pedal begins to ease up and your parasympathetic system starts coming back online. The vagus nerve activation, it improves, which means that your nervous system can finally regulate the way it was designed to. And instead of living in survival mode, your body begins to shift into healing mode. And this is where families often say, hey, something feels different because they're sleeping better. They're responding instead of reacting. Their kids are calmer and they finally start to feel like themselves again. Not because we forced anything, but because the body was given the space and support to do what it was created to do. And here's something that's really important to us. We don't just adjust you and hope for the best. We run regular progress scans so we can objectively measure what's changing. You don't have to guess, you don't have to wonder. You can actually see the shifts happening in your nervous system function. You can see those subluxation patterns changing. You can see your adaptability improving over time. And for so many families, this is the moment it clicks. Hey, I'm not crazy. Something really was going on, and now it's changing because this isn't guesswork. It's measurable, trackable healing. So as care progresses, healing happens in layers, in phases. You start sleeping more deeply because your nervous system can finally downshift at night. Digestion is going to be improving because your nervous system's shifting back into rest and digest mode. Your immune system strengthens because it's no longer buried under constant stress. You find yourself responding more calmly, even in the middle of toddler meltdowns, because you have that buffer capacity again. And your energy rises, not from pushing harder, but because your body isn't stuck in survival mode anymore. It's not instant, it's not a quick fix, but it's working with the foundation. And it builds step by step as your nervous system learns that it's finally safe to heal. And here's some case studies to really bring this home. We're gonna jump into a number of these, but first, this one is Blair. She came to us, and man, she was going through it. Inflammatory responses, mold illnesses, and overwhelmed by simple stressors of life. And there was a lot of stress in her life, and her nervous system was struggling to process and to regulate it all. And after being under care for some time, she experienced a night and day differences in mood changes. She had improvements in gut health and overall immune function. And she's not the only one. This is Lindsay, who actually saw other chiropractors, but she was looking for something different. She wanted to get to the root of her headaches, her pain, and aches, and all these issues, but she wanted to do it holistically. So she came and saw us, and she wanted to have another kid. And she had been trying through 4 miscarriages. And as you can see right here on this picture right here, this little guy right here, he's now part of this world because her body started to shift out of that stuck stress mode and into one that could bring life. Like literally, she was able to conceive and have a kid and be seen under care and have her nervous system supported through that so that it influenced his life now here on the outside. And then we have Matt. Yes, we see lots of dads too. They're typically the last ones to jump on the train, but they're no less important, right? And what I love about caring for dads is that they typically see the awesome changes their family is receiving while under care, and they come in expecting very little to change, and they're quickly surprised by the results they see in areas that they honestly didn't expect. And for Matt, it was more energy, it was weight loss improving, and now he's living a more active lifestyle and experiencing a higher quality of life. And so here's the truth. As we get closer to wrapping this up, your child doesn't just need you present, right? They need you regulated. They borrow the calm from your nervous system before they can create it in their own. It's called co regulation. It doesn't just happen with a baby, it happens all the way through life. But here's the part we don't say enough: you deserve to feel good in your own body again. Not someday when the kids are older, not when life slows down, right? Because it doesn't now. Caring for your nervous system isn't selfish and it's not one more thing to manage. It's the foundation for co regulation, for resilience, for patience and energy for you and your family. Because when your nervous system is supported and adaptable, your kids regulate more easily. Stress doesn't hijack the day, and everything else starts to feel lighter. Okay, so let me recap what we've covered in this because we got a lot of places. We're going to recap the 3 nervous system truths. Number 1, what you're experiencing, right, isn't just normal parenting stress. It's nervous system dysregulation and subluxation that keeps you stuck in their survival mode. With the second truth, conventional medicine misses this because they don't assess nervous system function. It's the insight scans which reveal what blood work can, objective measurements of how your nervous system is actually functioning. And truth number 3, you can feel like your best self again. Neurologically focused chiropractic care addresses this root cause, allowing your nervous system to heal and restore your capacity to thrive. And now I know some of you are thinking, like, this all sounds great, but what do I actually do with this information? Where do I start? And that's exactly what I want to talk about now. At the beginning, I promised that if you stayed till the end, I'd give you something special, a way to actually experience this for yourself. So let me show you what we put together for you. If you want real answers, not guesses or symptom masking, here's what we're offering. Everything we talked about: the complete health history, the nervous system scans, a report of finding with explanation. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to go over what a care plan looks like to get your mojo back. And here it is. Normally this costs 250, but since you stayed to the end of this and you stuck with me, right? We're offering it for a limited time at $97. And we're running this for about a month. So sign up by March 15th to receive this discount. So don't do nothing. Don't wait. Take action. Choose the option that actually moves you forward and gets your life and energy back. Here it is. Scan this code to book your first new patient appointment and mention this webinar. This is the key. Mention the webinar in the box where it says, "Is there anything else you would like us to know?" And you say yes. And you mention that you watched the webinar and spent all this time with Dr. Jeremy and we had a great time, right? Mention the webinar and get that discount. We'll get it locked in. We'll get in contact with you and help you to schedule a time that works for you to have your day 1 appointment and scans. And then you'll show up and you'll go through that assessment and you'll finally get the answers that you deserve. And if this webinar resonates with you, send this webinar to a friend or a family member. Sign up now, do it now while you're thinking about it, especially before life gets in the way. We can't wait to see you at your appointment. And if you were wondering this whole time, right, like the reason we wear the Expect and Experience Miracle shirts all the time, it's not just because we know and understand the healing power and potential you and your kids have. It like you have it too, right? And you deserve it too. Rising Health is an office that doesn't just see kids, we see whole families too. When you get adjusted, everything changes for you. Everything changes for your family too. God bless. Let's get your energy back and let's get you living at a higher quality of life.